All right, folks, let me tell you a little story about something that happened back on April 16th. Now, we know what happened on April 15th of last year, and that was the Boston Marathon bombing, terrorist attack. But not too many of us have heard about what happened on April 16th, and that was in San Jose, California. A power station was attacked. Many say it was a terrorist attack. And it's only now gaining public attention. There was a story about it in the Wall Street Journal. And the attack began in the middle of the night. And they went underground to a fiber optic telecommunications area. They slashed cables. They fired on transformers. It was a pre-planned, premeditated attack where apparently they had done work in advance, so they knew exactly what they were doing. And now there are fears that this could threaten our power grid system in the future. Joining us now to talk about this, and boy, I've been talking about my fears of the power grid going down for one reason or another for so many years now. But joining us now is Fred Fleitz, former CIA analyst, founder and chief analyst for LIGNET, who joins us from Washington. And we are also joined by counterterrorism expert and former FBI agent John Guandolo. Hello, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
Good to have you both. All right, let's start with you, Fred. How serious a situation or how serious a warning should this be for all of us, especially those in our government who I think someone's got to be in charge of protecting us from this?
Steve, this is very serious. It's even more serious than the Wall Street Journal article indicated. This was a trial run for a terrorist attack. And what Americans don't realize is that we now have something called a smart grid system where our electric grid is linked to other grids over the internet and by computers. And a major attack on one part of the grid could cause a devastating outage that could put tens of millions of Americans in the dark.
And John, you agree? And there was some question as to how organized or what level terrorist attack this might have been. It might have been just disgruntled employees, et cetera. What's your take on what took place on April 16th of last year?
Yes. My professional opinion is this was clearly a planned out attack. If this was only one individual, which it does not look like it was, they would have had been moving out pretty good. But it looks like it was, I know they only have one shooter that they believe, although they really don't know. They've got the telephone cables cut at the underground vault, and then within about 30 minutes you've got snipers, a shooter open firing on transformers, and according to the police reports, there are over 100 rounds fired from a semi-automatic rifle. So that's pretty serious. So they knew what to shoot to take it out, and they knew what lines to cut, and they did it all, so far as we can tell, without any person getting on any of the security cameras. So I'd say it was a pretty well-executed job, and I do concur with what was just said. That I think this was I wouldn't call it a dry one. It was a live run, but I think they're probing our system to see what our response is. And we know from previous attacks that anytime they do anything like this, they always observe and watch how we respond to it, and they'll be doing that.
And what was our response? What has been our response, Fred?
Well, the FBI is investigating it, but the FBI is still not prepared to say that this was a terrorist attack, even though this power station was attacked with AK-47s, and there was a systematic plan to cut the phone lines, the fiber optic cables, in a way that they couldn't be detected or easily repaired. 27
days, John, to bring this substation back online, which certainly could be indicative of what the United States would face if 2,000 massive stations like these are are located throughout the country. If there is a coordinated attack and the grid went down, I mean, in my non-expert opinion, 27 days would be the least of what we would be looking at. We could be looking at months before power went back up. I mean, is this something that is high on the list of priorities as far as you know of groups like the FBI?
It's not. I mean, the fact the FBI has not called this a terrorist attack is There's no logical reason for that. But as you and I have shared on this show before, that's an issue that's ongoing with the Bureau, their inability to call such things terrorist attacks. I will say that at the ground level, we're seeing probes of water supply systems, power supplies, and the grid in general. And all the way up to, there have been the EMP Commission put together a number of studies, one of which was presented to then Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld, which showed that, a coordinated EMP attack could set us back, could take out a large portion of our population, not by the attack itself, but by what you just referenced. If we lose power in even just regions of this country for 6+ months and water supplies are hampered because of it, you're talking about a huge impact, meaning millions of people that may not survive such an attack.
Right. We're talking about medicine, food, heat, gasoline, transportation. We're talking about chaos. And let me ask you, Fred. We've read so much about camps and the under Janet Napolitano, Homeland Security buying up bullets and IRS agents training with guns and again, while people like Trent Franks and others sound the alarm about a power grid threat, about an EMP attack that would take one rocket, according to Trent Franks, in the middle of the ocean, launched by Iran, a crude rocket that, if it's launched in the right place, it could take out our power grid. So how big a threat, how much concern should the average American citizen have that our government is doing nothing to prevent this from happening?
It's very disturbing. The smart grid technology makes it possible, when there's an outage in one area, we can respond faster to send power to that area. But power grid experts have said that we don't fully understand how this new system can be exploited. We know there are major threats by cyber warfare, and there's almost no defenses to that. But just thinking about the terrorist attack, there are power stations throughout this country in remote areas. They're just protected by a chain link fence. And terrorist attacks, just like the one in April, could happen again if enough of them happen, because the grid is linked together. It wouldn't take that many of them to have a major outage, and it could cause loss of life.
And John, Trent Franks said that nothing's being done. It's being blocked in Congress. They could upgrade the grid, as other countries have done, to protect against an EMP attack, to protect against the the fact that they're all linked, and if a certain number of them go out, then we're in big trouble. But nothing's happening. Nothing is getting done to fix this or address this problem.
Yeah, that same EMP Commission report I referenced earlier said it would cost just a little over $200 million to shield our key power sources in this country from like an EMP blast.
We spent that much money to put shrimps on a treadmill.
That's my point. Is this is so absurd, and this goes to the other stuff we've talked about threats to this country. It would appear from a rational perspective that the very people in our government charged with protecting its citizens just do not seem to be able to hold their attention on the real critical threats that are out there, and this is one of them.
And Fred, is that accidental or accidentally on purpose?
I think this government, the Obama administration, has a history of underestimating threats to this country, including electromagnetic pulse, an enormous burst of electromagnetic radiation that may not just come from Iran and North Korea, it can come from solar flares, and has done so in the past. In 1989, a large area of Quebec had the power grid knocked out by a solar flare because of EMP. This isn't just terrorists. This is going to happen through nature, and there's nothing being done about it.
Gentlemen, frightening and educational, and we'll keep on top of this. Thank you both, Fred Fleitz, former CIA analyst, founder, chief analyst for LIGNET, and counterterrorism expert and former FBI agent John Guandolo. Appreciate you both coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Take care.
All right, folks.